So it's a great honor and a pleasure to be here to talk to everyone here. And I appreciate Spring for the invitation. Today I was asked to speak on the topic of growth drivers of a successful enterprise. So basically, I'd like to share with people here my personal experience, mainly the first 5 years of Baidu's development. So I would say probably what I'm sharing is more relevant to startups rather than a mature enterprise. But in any case, I think the underlying principles, I think people can still gain some insights. Let me first introduce my personal background a bit more so that the audience can get an idea where what I'm talking about, those stuff, where they come from. So I was trained as a scientist until I decided to turn into business in about 1996. So in the first part of my learning process is at Silicon Valley. From 1998 to 1999, I co-produced a TV documentary called A Journey to Silicon Valley. So during that period of time, so people can probably remember it's a tech bubble. And we are always asking ourselves this question, why there are so many world-class companies based in Silicon Valley? So people are talking about Apple, Cisco, Oracle, Sun Micro, and Yahoo, and later Google. So we're trying to address this question. I think one of the gentlemen earlier has already talked about the Israel venture capital and also why Israel venture capital industry is so successful. So we were asking the same question in Silicon Valley. So over the course of 1 year, I was very fortunate as a co-producer to interview many successful people in Silicon Valley. Entrepreneurs, top venture capitalists, historians, professors, startup founders, management, senior CEOs of big corporations. So I got a very good understanding of how Silicon Valley, the mechanism of entrepreneur work. So this is very important for later when me and my partner Robin, we build Baidu, because we have a common shared value that we're trying to do something similar to Silicon Valley in China. So the learning process continued after we created Baidu. We started operation in Beijing in January 2000. So over the course of the first 5 years, which I work at Baidu, we are learning as we grow. As a matter of fact, Robin and I, when we started Baidu, none of us had management roles in the past jobs. So we hadn't managed people before. So it's a learning process, and we figure out what things work, what don't. And then it's the IPO. So let me turn to the first slide. It's not advertising, it's some facts about Baidu. So the IPO was done in 2005 on NASDAQ. On that particular year, our revenue was $40 million. The IPO was a huge success. It actually broke several records. At least one of the records it said was the single IPO day gain in terms of stock price since the 2000 tech bubble. I think we gained something like 350% on the first day of IPO. And then by 2007, Baidu was included as the first Chinese firm into the NASDAQ 100 index. Baidu is not the only one, but it was the first. At the end of last year, our revenue grew to $468 million. So as you can see, the company has been doing fantastically in terms of the company financial performance, the capital market evaluation, everything like that. So I have been thinking after the IPO, after those years, what we did right This is kind of a reflection process. And I've been giving some talks to people of what I thought I learned, the stuff that really worked, which I would like to share with you today. So I'd like to make a kind of a disclaimer. First of all, Baidu is a public company, so whatever I said is purely my personal view. And second, Baidu is an internet technology company based in China. So what I share with today might or might not work in other industries. But personally, I firmly believe this stuff. These are the fundamentals that can build a foundation for potentially a very successful company, startup. So by starting, I like to define a successful startup. So in general, I like to define it from a financial performance or from the investment perspective. So that is the market valuation. Baidu grew from a two-member startup all the way to a multi-billion-dollar company. I think we are running about a $9.5 billion market cap as of yesterday, depending on the stock price. So in other words, we actually offering our investor huge return. We're very happy. Singapore government actually invested in 2 separate VC funds, which in turn invested in Baidu in early stages. So I think we are offering our investor between 100 times to 800 times return, depending on when they did exit. So the question here is how to increase the market value from a VC standpoint, from a startup standpoint, and increase the chance of seed. So whatever I share today, I'm going to talk about some of the detailed things. There's no guarantee. Even though I believe in it, if I do it again, I'll follow these, there's still no guarantee. But what I thought is these are the fundamentals that could potentially lead to long-term competitive, sustainable advantages. And of course, there are outside factors. What I'm sharing today are the internal things that people as founder and founding team, as a manager, you can control. You can work on it. But there are other factors, like the overall global economic situation, the timing, the government policy, to a particular industry at a certain period of time. So these are the things that nobody can control. But the things that I'm trying to share, is that these principles, we can control them. So number one thing I'd like to share is an important mindset. Because for a lot of startup founders, they're thinking, if I'm the first mover, if I have a global patent or a smart idea or product, then there's a big chance of succeed. I personally don't believe it. This is why. Because after all these years of reflection, I believe you have to be striving to become the best in a combination of areas. We're talking about a huge business success. So one area of superiority is not enough. Incidentally, there are books, bestseller management books, are talking about this factor. This one, particular by the name of What Really Works, the 4+2 formula for sustained business success. It was published a number of years ago by a professor from Dartmouth. And they analyzed many companies and many management practices. They come to this conclusion. Here, I just read it. It is not any one variable of practice in isolation that makes a company great. It is a combination of several pieces working together in an integrated package consistently over time. So this is really true. So I just wanted people to get an idea that you cannot just rely on one aspect to hope for a huge success.